This episode of Trestle Tactics is proudly presented by Gordon Food Service.
Welcome to Trestle Tactics, a tips from Trestle short. We wanted to know what's going to make our podcasts more valuable to you. And the answers were simple. You want easy to implement tactics and strategies that will let you create an outstanding experience around your senior living food and hospitality programming. So let's dive in right now on today's Trestle Tactics. Welcome back into Trestle Tactics. On Trestle Tactics 19, we did an introduction to the 7 wastes in lean management and operational excellence. So we're continuing that operational excellence journey this week by diving into the specific wastes with some really great guest speakers who provide some real world examples for you. So I'm happy to introduce Carrie Serrano and Jessica Hogue from Gordon Food Service to talk more about the 7 wastes of operational excellence. Take it away, ladies.
Hi, everyone. We're so excited to be here today on the Trestle podcast. My name is Carrie Serrano.
And my name is Jessica Hogue.
And we are both registered dietitians, and we are non-commercial business solution specialists for Gordon Food Service. And we were invited to cover the 7 wastes with some examples. And on a previous podcast, Erin went through the history and introduced what the 7 wastes are. And so today, Jessica and I are going to be covering those with some examples. And hopefully some of them will resonate with you and say, oh, that sounds about right.
So before we dive into the 7 wastes, we know that it might be hard to remember the 7 wastes. So we're going to introduce the acronym to help you remember. That is TIMWOOD. And we'll go through each of the wastes. The first one being transport, which is the unnecessary moving around of people and equipment. And Carrie has a really great example that she saw recently during a customer visit.
Thanks, Jess. Yeah, so I was visiting an assisted living community and observing some of their meals. And so during breakfast, I picked up on this waste of transport. And so what these operators were doing is they had the breakfast meals completed in the main kitchen. They were plated up, ready to go. And then they had another employee taking those plated items and moving them into a small kitchenette that was right outside the main kitchen door. And so in that kitchenette was their beverages and then a couple condiments. And then there was a small service cart. So that employee would take the plated breakfast, put it on the service cart. Then he would fill their beverage order, put that on the service cart, and then take that service cart to the table. And there was about 30 residents that were in the dining room, and each of them had about 2 to 4 residents at the table. So if you can imagine, there's almost 3 hands touching these plates before they even really get to the resident. And so there was a lot of transport that was unnecessary to get from point A to point B, which could have easily been eliminated.
Our next waste is the I in TIMWOOD, and that stands for inventory, which is excessive inventory and the resources to manage it. Carrie, again, has a great example of this. And then there's another common example that we see in many of our food service operations that we visit.
In this example, back in the kitchen, we see the sign that's clearly labeled products or are for our emergency preparedness. And I see a pallet filled with cases of gallon water. So great that the customer had their emergency supplies on hand. Then after a deeper look, I saw that the waters were expired. That's something that's very common to overlook. We don't really think about water expiring, but in this instance, that customer had a full pallet of expired product, taking up a lot of space, as you can imagine, kind of in the way, right outside their dry storage area, but also the amount of money that they had spent and tied up for as long as it had been sitting there. So it's just really important that you're looking at your inventory, having a good inventory process to make sure you can catch those items before they go bad. And so I'll turn it over to Jess to talk about one that's very common that we see.
At the heart of every successful kitchen, there's a secret ingredient: Gordon Food Service. For over 125 years, Gordon Food Service has been delivering excellence, quality, and innovation to food service operations across North America. From fresh produce to premium meats, our in-house brands offer the high quality and flavor your kitchen needs. We don't just deliver food, we deliver experiences. Our products help you create memorable meals that keep customers coming back. With innovative tools and solutions, managing your business has never been easier. Manage your business whenever, wherever, and however you want with Gordon now. The team of experts at Gordon Food Service is here to support you every step of the way, from menu planning to marketing strategies. At Gordon Food Service, we believe in the power of community. That's why we support initiatives that drive innovation and sustainability. Join the thousands of food service professionals who trust Gordon Food Service to help them succeed. Gordon Food Service, delivering culinary excellence.
Yeah. So one thing that we see a lot of is our customers, or even just food service operations in general, are buying bulk product, especially produce, versus a pre-chopped bagged item of the same type. And it seemed like that the understanding is, well, I'm saving money because buying it in bulk and chopping it up myself is a lot cheaper and I'm saving money. I'm meeting budget, which is a big thing that we hear from our customers. But, we take into consideration having to chop the vegetables, having the labor, the time, whereas you could have already had this pre-chopped item. So Gordon Food Service has Marcon Ready Set Serve products, and that kind of eliminates the need for that. We know labor is something that many of our customers are struggling with. So this is one way to kind of eliminate that time. So again, utilizing the labor you do have to, instead of using it to chop up onions, you've already got your onions pre-chopped and they can focus on more meaningful. The next letter in the acronym of TIMWOOD is motion, and that is walking or moving around more than required. And Carrie again has a really great example.
Yeah, I think this one is probably one of the most common ways that we see and probably operators feel is that walking around in a storage room to try to take inventory to know what to order for your next truck delivery. So in this example, I was in a large acute care hospital. As you can imagine, the storage room is it's big. And so as a new person coming in with a fresh set of eyes, I was looking to help them with their purchasing and inventory procedures. And so while I was in the dry storage area, I immediately could pick up on that to find a product took me 3 extra steps. So the motion there to try to find what was where. So they had labels on each shelf, but then when I looked for that product, it wasn't there. So for example, I saw spices were on a rack that said snacks flash nut. So that made it a little difficult. Also, this one was a big one. Jessica and I both used to be clinical dietitians. So we know that looking for those bottles of tube feeding is very important for patient safety. And so in this one, they had labels for their enteral tube feed bottles. And the name of the product was on the shelf, but then the bottle itself did not match what was on that label. And that is very serious. And that's something that they immediately corrected. Um, but really this motion piece here is this particular hospital was short staffed, staff turnover, and working with agencies. So they've got a lot of new faces in there and they're trying to come in, grab the product that they need, get it out on the line, get it up to a patient's room. And it was slowing them down because they were having to walk around the entire storage room to find the snack or the whatever the product was that they were looking for. So disorganized storage room really forces an employee to have to search for those needed items. And we know we don't have that kind of time when we're constantly getting orders down into the kitchen. And so we're walking these long distance to find the right tools, the right equipment, the ingredients, the supplies that we need to get the job done.
Thanks, Carrie and Jessica, for getting us started on the 7 wastes of operational excellence. So stay tuned as Carrie and Jessica finish out those 7 wastes in next week's episode of Trestle Tactics. We'll see you next time. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Trestle Tactics. Be sure to like and subscribe on any of our channels, YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you listen to us. Also, be sure to follow us on any of your social media channels at Tips from Trestle. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Trestle Tactics.